You are Black in the Green Room with me, your host, Keith Underwood. And this is your spot for real talk about entertainment with entertainers, creatives, and showbiz professionals. I'm your host, Keith L. Underwood, and this is where we celebrate the storytellers shaping the culture on stage, on screen, and behind the scenes. Today, I'm joined by a powerhouse performer whose quiet intensity has captivated millions. You know him as Ebraheim from FX's The Bear, but trust me, y'all, that's just the beginning. He's an Obie award-winning actor, a stage veteran, a writer, and a living masterclass in craft and character. Let's get into it with the incredible Edwin Lee Gibson. Welcome to the room.
Cheers, brother Underwood. Thanks for having me so much.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Edwin, first things first. How has life changed for you since audiences have started recognizing you as Ibrahim from the Bear? And do people whisper cousin at you in public?
Well, not so much to me. They are usually saying some of the lines that Ibrahim has, like "I accept," things
Oh,
like that. But no, it's been really really cool. I say it's the price of admission.
right,
All of this attention happens. You can't then just say, "Oh no, I don't want it."
right.
But no, it's been really really great. People are really kind, and sometimes they don't even realize it's me because I don't sound like Ibrahim.
Right.
But no, it's great. I have no problems with it at all. Whether I'm drinking some wine with my wife at this little place we go to here in Studio City, or if I'm just at the car wash. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They get you everywhere.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's your normal response to them? Are
well,
you ever tempted to say, "Oh, I'm not him"?
we know what I started to say is, you smoke cigars?
Nah.
Because
Oh,
that's what I
me?
said. No,
Oh,
no,
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 no.
no.
That's what I'll say. No,
Ah,
no. That's what I'll
gotcha.
say to them because Dina came up with this great thing. Because it's very interesting. So I never say no, it's not me. I'll ask them like, where? What do you think? Some people can't tell me like at the In-N-Out Burger last year. I don't really go there very often, but one time I went there, and the guy that was working there did that whole thing, and I was like, okay, well, where do you think you know me from? He says, and he said, I don't know. So I drove to the next window. By the time we got to the next window, he comes running from his window up, says, I know you, El. Oh, your show helped my sister and me really kind of bridge our differences.
Hmm.
Um, that was a really, really nice moment. But uh, it happens at the most curious times. But most times people look and they're like, "Is that him? Why would he be here?" Uh,
At In-N-Out, I'm getting a burger.
right, right. So no. So I asked him now. Do you smoke cigars? Because I smoke cigars. And but that hasn't worked. If it's somebody young, that doesn't really work.
Right, right,
I can't ask them that, but
right.
it's great. I have no qualms about that at all.
Yeah. Edwin, there's no such thing as an overnight success. I mean, you've been in the game, you've paid your dues. I mean, but how does it feel now to be recognizable on that level? I mean, do you feel a sense of accomplishment now that people are recognizing you?
Well, I sat with myself a long time ago and said you have to define success for yourself. So I think the accumulation of all the work I've done all over the world as an actor. Um, there are places in Italy and France that I can't walk down the street because they have that idea about actors in the theater.
Mm.
So there are places in Mexico that I can't walk down the street without being mobbed. But that's just from theater. So here, it's been what's been interesting is that I've had to actually think about the fact that the universe, the creator, is like hey, you can chill now.
Mm,
You put in a whole lot of work. You spend all this time um, with naysayers, people in your family not understanding, being afraid for you. You had this turmoil in other parts of your life. You lived on the train in New York for 2 months,
mm.
so so you can kind of chill and just really enjoy this time. And so I'm having a blast. I don't really shy away from any of the attention. It just lets me know that there's more work to be done,
Mm,
and that's what
hmm.
I'm really. I could, I continue to be concentrated on the work and
Uh,
people's reaction. At least for the way I do what I do, lets me know that I'm doing that work and that it's touching, moving them.
yeah, absolutely. Gibson, Edwin, welcome back.
Oh, cheers! Thanks for having me, Black.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I like when I drive the train and people just jump on. So that was
There you go.
good.
There you go.
I appreciate
I'm
that, man.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yes. So, as we mentioned in the last segment, that you're also a theater guy, and that's through and through. What's something the camera will never quite capture that only live performances give you?
Well, with me, the way I approach my work in the theater, um, my idea is that each night is the first night the characters have ever said these words.
Mm,
So
hmm.
my characters never said these words until the night that those lights go up. So in that way, I get to share this, what I call a beautiful kind of dance with the audience. And I get to do it 8 times a week for about 6 or 7 weeks. On the screen, I get to do that maybe 6 or 7 times, period.
Hmm.
Per take per scene. I think there's a dance that happens. It's technical in some other ways. Um, the theater asks a lot of you. I've done 104 productions in my 44 years
Hmm.
since I was 16, and yeah, but I think there are things that the other doesn't capture. I think the specificity of working in the film and working on in that that little dot, as I would call it, the lens. There's a specificity there that's enacted in different ways in the theater. You have to reach people. I've worked in theaters that have been 500 to 1,000 seats, and you have to
Mm.
find acoustically where things bounce for the audience. You have to be able to understand the tilt of your head uh, in a theater of a certain size, but on screen you have to be very, very careful about um, what a look does and be very, very mindful, and it can help you that your every thought, the lens picks up that
Hmm.
truth. Um, so they both have their beauty, and I didn't realize how much beauty was in working in the screen till about 17 years ago when I
Mm.
began to really, really move into the space. Um, yeah, it's a wonderful exercise. What they both where they both meet is what I love so much is the attentiveness of my listening.
Mm.
I call myself more a listener than an actor anymore. Um, And both of those spaces demand that you're listening and that you're responding in a very, very honest way. So that helps me.
Yeah. What what I always hear all the time, and your answer was very different from what I usually hear when I ask that question. People usually say it's the energy of the audience
Yeah.
that you don't get on set. But then when you are on set, what's the energy you get there? What is it that drives you that you love about being on set?
But I think
or
That is correct.
location?
Yeah, well, I do think it's correct. I do think there's this energy that's happening in the moment. What I've understood working in film or working on the screen rather is that the gaffer, the first camera, the second camera, the people in the producer's tent, the background, all these other areas, they're all right there watching everything.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, if I can, if my performance stops them, not just because they have to be quiet, but because they're
Mm.
listening and being attentive, then that for me kind of serves as the same audience that would
Mm.
in the theater for me. I don't know about other actors, but that's really a big thing for me. It's not just them being quiet because it's quiet on the set. Um, Even people that are walking around on a location, when you can hear a pin drop and people are really, really listening, then you kind of understand. Okay, yeah, this is my this is my audience. This
Mm-hmm.
is informing me before whatever else is done in post production.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has a way of calming me and making me understand, okay, yeah, you've got to be locked in to engage your audience. And there's never that point where there's not that audience. The people that see it eventually are a secondary audience in a lot of ways. The people that are there are informing me in
Mm-hmm.
some other ways.
Yeah, and what I like about what you said are the differences between the two. You might get visible or auditory, or audible cues from an audience when you're performing live, but it's the stillness and the quiet of being on set that gives you your cues that, hey, something's happening here, some magic is happening.
Yeah, in that same way, when you see people that are not supposed to be laughing,
Hmm.
and you can see that they are actually holding it in,
Right,
especially
right, right. Quiet on the set.
on our show, especially on
Right.
our show, because a lot of people question about whether it's a comedy or not. Or you have to be there sometimes, but I can tell that they really want to laugh, or when the take is done, they burst out laughing. Then it's a different version of that same thing that happens. It's I guess auditory in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of stillness and quiet, you bring a beautiful stillness to Ibrahim. What's the trick of saying so much by saying so little?
I really, really love that guy, man. And, sometimes I get a little emotional when I think about him. I just really, really, really love that cat. I talk about my characters in the third person because they're not
Right.
a lot of people I hear they say it as if they're talking about themselves, but
Hmm.
it's not me. And I just root for him. He's described as a mystery who's lived 1,000 lives. Chris
Mm.
Storer, the creator of the show, only gave that description of the character. And I thought that was not only beautiful, but such great space to further articulate who he was. So that mystery is what I'm trying to keep. Um,
Hmm.
Over the course of a series, you find out about characters, but there can be a rush by an actor to make people know about the character rather than letting
Hmm.
them find out on their own. Kind of like there's a story of Carlos Santana when he was learning to
Hmm.
play guitar. I don't know if you heard this story, and someone told him you got to make the guitar sound like it's crying,
Right.
and he was a kid, and he took that literally, and that's what you hear when you hear his guitar.
Right.
So I'm that way. I want people to really feel beyond the words
Hmm.
what's happening with him, knowing that there's something. You think about where he's come from, the eastern part of Africa, the eastern region, and what it takes to actually get here
Hmm.
from there. How large the continent is. You could put the entire United States there and have a lot of room.
Right.
But to get there, to be in Chicago by himself, but how did he get here? And so I tend to think about my characters in a very 30,000 foot view. In this sense, I can see where he's gone. I can track him all the way around the continent, across the Atlantic, to probably one of the ports that you go into a detention, the ship channel in Houston,
Hmm.
most notably, then having to go on your own and ending up in the middle of the country in Chicago.
Hmm.
There's something very, very brilliant. There's something very, very fearless, um, mysterious about that. And so I tend to hold on to that while I'm playing this character all the time. I never, as long as he's been in Chicago, I never want to forget for him what it took for him to get here.
Mm.
He probably needs this place in some ways that other people don't need the original beef. Um, and so it's it's you can try to manipulate it as an actor,
Hmm.
but I am so fortunate that I get to recognize it and just kind of sit in that. And then you
Hmm.
start finding out more and more about him. The, there's the whole story of immigrants who may have been doctors where they were from, but they're cab drivers here.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so and so sometimes people have a tendency of just playing the character in this one manner. I'm thinking about all my characters in a very expansive manner, no matter what character it is. Uh,
Hmm.
I got to go back and figure out the set of circumstances that found him here.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a great place to play, and I get to support this cat, and I can't talk about it without smiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
feel you.
yeah.
So, what season are we? The upcoming season of The Bear. What is it?
Four.
Four. Right. So, Ibrahim coming into season four. If the two of you were to go to lunch, what would you talk about or not talk about?
I would just probably ask for lessons in Kiswahili or because that's the Bantu language that's really spoken the most across the continent. But and people call it Swahili, but it's Kiswahili.
Right.
And so I'd ask him for lessons, and I would get on his nerves about that. I
Right.
said, I said, wherever you want to go, let's go.
Right.
Just teach me. But
Yes.
I think
What's one of those lessons?
about what just oh no, it's just some general Kiswahili lessons. But I'd ask
Mhm.
him. I think I'd ask him about. Um, I'd ask him about his trek. I'd ask him which way he came.
Mm.
I'm really interested and invested in that. I just talked about that, but I talk about that because I'm really, really want to know that about him.
Hmm.
Not just for Edwin the actor, but for this human, because as an artist, I've been very nomadic. I've worked from here in the States to China
Hmm.
as an actor, and being in the theater, you are constantly nomadic. But his transient nature, I mean, what was that? I'd ask him about his job back in the region that he's from. What did he do? What was
Hmm.
his family like? I mean, I have my suppositions, but if I got to go have lunch with him, I'd ask him, directly to put my suppositions to rest.
Right, right, right. I want to know. Edwin, as you just mentioned, you traveled internationally,
Yeah.
all over the world, performing for stage and then also for screen. How do you keep your creative compass? How do you keep focused on whatever it is that you're working in all those different spaces?
Every gig is the first one. I've just always tried to maintain that. I only know as much about acting as the last job I did.
Hmm.
I try to maintain that. I'm a 6 year old. I try to stay in that space, that sponge, and I think that served me really well. Um, I was asked by the late great Peter Brook to personally to join his theater company and to come to Paris, and this was in 2017. Sidebar to that, the play I was doing at the time in Chicago is the play that Christopher Storer, the creator of The Bear, saw,
Mm.
and he said when we finally met, he said, "I saw you in this play in Chicago," and I was like, "I always want to work with this guy." And then you appear, reading, for this role. As actors, as artists, because I'm an artist, and as artists, we work in the dark,
Mm.
and that's one of the most beautiful places for me. Like I've got monologues that I work on at home just because I love to work and just because I'm so afraid of my skill set um, retarding
Hmm.
that I have to keep working. And you're working even when I'm not waiting for someone to like give me a job, so I'm not working. I'm working on monologues. I'm writing. I'm creating in other ways. So
Yes.
that yeah, so that really keeps me moving. And I think the universe sees that and throws out a little breadcrumb and says, "You want to go to Paris?" And then I get there and I realize that this play is touring 10 countries over a couple of years, and that I'm end up the main character in it, and that I have to speak 7 different languages depending on what country we were in.
Hmm.
Because and my character is the only one that breaks the fourth wall and actually does that. So as an actor, I speak 7 different languages. As a layperson, not so much. I'm naturally curious, nebulous. My mother would call it nosy.
Hmm.
Um, and so I don't like not knowing how to do anything, which
Right.
includes the fluidity of art. It shows you how fallible you are and how much more you have to learn about yourself. And so never gets old. Never gets old.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your roots. You're from Houston, right? Or you grew up in Houston?
Yeah, already.
Yes, right. Yes. So how did growing up in Houston, how did it shape your perspective? Not just as a performer, but also as a black man navigating the industry.
Well, yeah. It was interesting. I haven't lived there since '93. But growing up there was definitely a real big kick for me. My
Hmm.
mom was from a small town called Longview in East Texas, uh, not far from Terrell, Texas, where Jamie Foxx is from.
Mm.
She was classically trained in voice, and started singing with her when I was 5 years old. Uh, and I was one of the top youth choral singers growing up, and had an experience where I auditioned for the National All Boys Choir when I was 11. Made it, but I wasn't 12 yet, so they wouldn't take me. So I vowed I wouldn't sing anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So my mom was mortified. My dad was a garbage man in Houston.
Hmm.
Um, uh, really, really intense about honesty and the truth. And so from those two, and my older brother, who was a great athlete, I was an athlete as well, but not that same level. I'm just a cat who grew up understanding hard work. And I always say that I don't do what my dad did, but I do what I do the way he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wearing some, my pants that I'm wearing right now, they're blue. And I keep these blue pants that I wear on set, that I wear in rehearsal, because they're the blue that my dad's garbage man pants were.
Mm-hmm.
And so even now, I always make sure that I have two pair of these navy blue pants that I wear, and they remind me even now that it's about the hard work. Um, yeah, Houston was a great place to grow up. Uh, um, Played a lot of sports in drama club. Um, my 11th and 12th grade year, uh, in between having run away from home because I couldn't decide whether I wanted to live with my mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Ended up with him for a few months and back with my mom. Um, they both understood. They were very, very, dynamic. They were very, very dynamic people that still resonate. Um, that whose lessons still resonate with me. I went to Paul Quinn College when it was in Waco, Texas. I think it's in Dallas now, and went there for 2 years. Freshman and sophomore class president. Played baseball. Uh, Left, ironically, left playing baseball to join the choir in college. Had one last dash at singing, and then came back to Houston, where I was at Texas Southern University, debate team, Dr. Thomas Freeman, who's passed away a few years ago, but people
Mm-hmm.
will remember the great debaters. Denzel Washington really studied Dr. Freeman for that character. Um, um, and yeah, and started working at the Ensemble Theater. I've been working since I was 16 in the theater, then at the Ensemble Theater for about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Writing sketch comedy, the comedy workshop, and performing, then doing about 7 years of stand up. The time I moved to New York. And it was just such a great place to grow up, Houston. When I go back now, I don't know what it is now. All the freeways, everything. I'm like, y'all can have this, but it was a really, really great place to grow up. Really solid place to grow up. Family, family city, really huge, cosmopolitan, but very, very small. There's a saying that um, that everyone's a stranger till you get out of your car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then you know somebody that knows somebody. Yeah.
Right. What is it that about that humbleness, that you have taken into your personal and professional life that you might say to yourself that the generations behind you might be lacking in entertainment?
Well, I think that last word you said, entertainment. I'm not an entertainer. I'm nobody's entertainer.
Hmm.
To do a job, there's something that connects my art to our history in this country that goes back even further to the griot,
Hmm.
who even before Thespis in Rome was playing all these characters and telling these stories from village to village. Thespis is often credited as the first actor when
Mm-hmm.
he stepped out of the Roman uh, choir and just asked the audience to believe that I am. I'm this person.
Right.
Um,
Thespian comes from his name.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But the griot precedes Thespis, and so I think people get into this whole thing about money and about fame, and some people don't even care about their livelihood as long as people know who they are. And
Mm.
such a rush to have that be the move. Um, I don't think it's a new phenomenon. I do think there's such a there's such a there's such pressure put on young folks to be certain thing by a certain time, or you're nothing.
Mm.
Uh, I always tell people that what I had to do was I had to early on in my 20s, I had to sit in a room with myself and have a very serious conversation about what I could do without
Hmm.
if I were going to do this as my living. Um, and then I have to define success for myself so I can keep my eyes on my own. Um, it's not always easy, and I can just see how difficult it is now for people that are nice people that give over to something and then find themselves in circumstances that
Mm.
uh, that were beyond their control, but probably are
Right.
now. Um, so it's it's never been an easy road to hoe, especially artists of African descent born in this country. Of course, we were always here, so we are indigenous to these shores. Uh,
Absolutely.
uh, uh, I actually am on my mom's side. And so there's a rush to kind of be the other, as we call in Houston, uh, non-members.
Right.
Uh,
We do this.
yeah, well, okay, there you go. Yeah, and and even in the work that we create work sometimes where we're either this thing over here or we're this thing over here, and we try and make these real people out of these now self-imposed tropes. Um, One of the things about Ebraheim was that I wasn't going to read for him initially because I didn't know if it would turn to a trope. But then I thought
Mm.
to myself, well, tropes only exist in as much as the actor allows it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't allow it. And I felt like I wanted this character, I wanted to tell this character story because I didn't want it to turn into something else.
Hmm.
And so I, but I do see, the game's in good hands, on our show, Io Debris, who plays Sydney, um, Lionel Boyce, who plays Marcus. I tell them all the time, the game's in good hands.
Hmm.
I extend that to Jeremy, who's also a really young actor. Um, but I think it's monumental. You look at someone like a Tyler, the creator, Kendrick Lamar. You got some other young actors that are really invested in
Mm.
the work, and you are just hoping that people latch on to them. They don't have to latch on to me. They may call me the old guard,
Mm.
and that's okay. But that they understand that it's not so much about that. It's really the work that you're doing is going to really carry you through in the long run. Quinta Brunson, who created Abbott Elementary, is another one of those just amazing young people, and I just really, really dig her a lot. Um, so it's difficult, but it's always been difficult. It's only insurmountable when people think they have no agency.
Hmm.
I've never in my life felt a lack of agency.
I love that. The bear, it digs into some deep things about gentrification, trauma, and personal reinventing yourself. What conversations has your character sparked among people who reach out to you?
The biggest thing for me happened last year, and it's so funny that I'm able to like really jump on top of that question. Because I did an interview with three publications in the UK, and the final one that I did, it was this sister, I forget the name of the publication, but she was telling me about how much Ebraheim has meant to African people, immigrants in the UK, and what that immigrant story is, and that my portrayal of the character has really kind of made them feel really, really good. And then wife and I went over there in September of last year, late August, September of last year, and we couldn't walk around um, London without mostly us stopping me,
Mm.
telling me about not just how much they enjoyed me on the show, not just surprised that I'm not actually East African, but
Right.
but how much the portrayal meant to them. We were at the Nottingham Carnival, which is this huge carnival in London that takes place over 2 days, I think, and everywhere we were walking in these huge crowds, and people were just like going on and on about it, and that's the thing, that's the thing you do it for, because when people talk about me and Ibrahim, they talk about the work that I'm doing on it.
Hmm.
Even Sir Lenny Henry. I met Sir Lenny Henry. Oh, I saw him outside the Old Vic, and I told Dean, I said, "That's Lenny Henry. I got to go talk to him." Blah, blah, blah. And so I finally go to the bathroom, and I come back, and I stand in front of his table, and I gave him a salute. And he looks at me, and I told him who I was, and he was like, "Oh, I love you. I love you."
Yes.
And I told him how much his portrayal of the chef that he played on the show that he had in the early '90s kind of informed um, parts of what I gave to Ibrahim. So that's really, really a great thing, and it's not even, and even more than immigrant folks, just brown skin folks uh, across the board that really, really dig this character, and that no one talks about the fact that he's the calm one
Mm.
amongst all the chaos. And I think if he looked different, they would be talking about that. But but oftentimes we're only spoken of if we're being volatile, and we're only given shine to each other if we've got our lineup,
Hmm.
up all. I mean, and that's, I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm not a movie star, I'm not trying to do all that. I'm working, and whatever the character needs, I don't care how Edwin looks.
Hmm.
So, so there's been a fair amount of people that really, really dig uh, the work and the life that I've been able to ask Ibrahim to allow me to show.
Love that.
Again, for actors who feel like, it's too late for them or they're too different, what do you say to them, especially to our Black actors who are trying to find their place in an industry that hasn't always seen them?
Mm. Yeah, I point to Morgan Freeman, who we in the theater knew who he was. A lot of people did know who he was, but didn't begin to have commercial success for many years. To a degree, Samuel L. Jackson as well, who everyone knew, but a lot of people didn't know.
Mhm.
Um, you know, um, you do it. I do it because I do it. Um, yeah, I want things to work out a certain way. Yes. Was I attached to the outcome? I have to say no because I didn't know what the outcome was. So it's tough to tell someone, you know, not to feel away or not to want a thing. I'm very happy with how my career has gone. It's been anything but linear. Uh, but I love the trajectory of it. And I would just say what I said to myself. I'm not saying this now because I'm at whatever point people think I'm at, but I said there's a very good chance that things won't work out the way you thought they would. Now, you still want to do it?
Hmm.
My question is never, my answer to that question has never wavered.
Hmm.
Um, I do it because it's my life. Uh, and at the same time, you have to really create. If I want to stay creative, I have to keep creating. So I
Hmm.
started writing. It's like, I worked a few years ago with Chris Rock on the fourth season of Fargo,
Hmm.
and he and I had a great time. And then, we're talking, we're just talking about longevity, and we're of course talking about Prince because we're both huge Prince heads.
Same here.
Yeah, and I, and a cat like that, who was the first illustration of a touch tone, because he was only so many years older than I was when the first album came out, For You. And being able to kind of touch things and define a touch tone kind of helped me navigate things and to see that, yeah, it's about creating this work. And Chris and I talked about that a lot, just how you go about making yourself available to yourself as an artist, which is why I started writing and directing in the theater, and now writing and directing on the screen. So
Hmm.
it may not end up here; it may end up here. So no use beating your head against the wall. You may have to come back and do this. Go create something over here that informs a way that you get back here. But I've
Hmm.
never seen myself as just an actor.
Right.
I'm not waiting on anyone. Uh, and We as brown skinned folks can't afford that. Um, uh, I validate me. I don't wait for anyone that looks like me or that doesn't look like me to validate me.
Hmm.
So my my life as an artist was going to always be filled with making art, because I'm an artist because I say so.
Hmm.
If I never get another job after this, you ask me what I do. I'm an artist because I say I'm an artist. I don't believe that that'll happen because the universe and I had a chat a long time ago, and I said, if you just let me keep working, I promise I will bust my, every time the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edwin Lee Gibson, I mean, this has been a fantastic conversation. I just appreciate your time so much, and then your wealth of wisdom and experience, brother, for real though.
Thank you.
And where
Thank
can
you.
everybody find you on social media to keep up with everything you're doing and have going on?
I'm on Instagram. Just my full name, Edwin Lee Gibson. I'm pretty easy to find. I'm putting the finishing touches on a film that I wrote, directed, and produced in between season 3 and 4 in Arizona called A Peking Red Dress, made of satin, covered in flowers, mostly roses. And so I'm working on that, and hopefully that will be in festivals. So maybe people will see me around the festival circuit between now and the time we go back on the Bear, because we did get renewed for a fifth season. And
Nice.
you may be able to catch me on the continent later on this fall. I can't say too much else about it, but there you go.
All right. Edwin Lee Gibson, absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining me on Black in the Green Room.
Thank you very, very much, Brother Underwood. It's been such a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Cheers.
Take care now.
Be sure to follow me, Keith Underwood, at Mr. Keith L. Underwood on IG. You can also follow me on FB at Keith L. Underwood. And you know you gotta follow Black in the Green Room at Black in the Green Room across all platforms. Until next time, this has been Black in the Green Room.